Welcome to the back room. I'm Laura. In this video, I want to make you a little uneasy. You see, there is a disturbing place nearby. It is deep underground in what might be called a cave prison. Its occupants are shackled to the ground in a seated position, all facing the same direction and without free movement of their heads. Burning above and behind them is a large and perpetual fire. It is close enough to barely keep the murky space lit and warm, but distant enough to remain a mystery to these pitiful captives. Kept here since childhood, they rarely protest or question their situation. Other occupants in the cave include a staff of puppeteers. These are anomalous staff members of the cave that parade and jostle crudely made puppets and objects in the light of the fire. The puppets cast shadows upon a wall screen that stands directly in front of the chained prisoners. The prisoners attempt to figure out the meaning of it all. They applaud, jeer, argue with one another at the images, and grow increasingly discouraged as they fuss and fight about their meaning. The cave and these mysterious images represent their reality and their truth. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Sometimes a prisoner is freed from his chains, but this is for reasons known only to them. It's as if they are summoned in a trance. They will stretch their atrophied leg muscles and walk toward the forbidden source of light. The fire's heat and intensity will send sharp pains to their underutilized eyes. He or she will likely recoil in fear and will consider returning to the chains and dim theater, while the others reinforce a widely held suspicion that the blinding light was only an illusion. But the freed inmates are compelled to leave as if beckoned by a restless inner force seeking more to this life than restriction. They will then drag themselves up and out of that bleak cave, undeterred by a jagged and rocky incline, which is perhaps a symbolic warning of the risks they will face in widening their eyes to the world. Once out of the cave and facing this new existence, the freed prisoner now stands before a world illuminated by an extremely large and blazing globe. Their overwhelmed eyes will at first edit out everything but the shadows of things, but in due time, their unsophisticated eyes will grow accustomed to the wonders. And after more time, they will begin to self-reflect, including what their proper place is within a new community of wide-eyed people. When he or she finally finds their philosophical bearings, they will contemplate the many mysteries, tragedies, and contradictions of life that lead a person to ask important questions, such as what is great and what is small, what reflects the light of truth, and what is only a shadow. From then on out, they will become seekers of self-knowledge and what it all means in the world. This place that I described to you is Plato's allegory of the cave. At over 2,400 years old, it still resonates with people today who are seeking philosophical and spiritual growth, no matter what stage in the cave they find themselves. You can find the allegory of the cave and other important allegories in books 6 and 7 of Plato's Republic. In these two books, Plato writes about his teacher, Socrates, and the lessons that Socrates gave about existential, I can never say that word, existential scene, which I prefer to just call me searching. Despite the warmth and protection of the cave, and despite the camaraderie of our fellow captives, our souls desperately crave the freedom to contemplate the world beyond popular opinion. Plato and Socrates argued that the eye of the soul is literally buried in an outlandish slough. meaning our guiding light is mired by illusion. Therefore, the upward journey out of a bleak cave mirrors the soul's search for higher truth that is underlying reality. Socrates and Plato taught their students that as long as they leave life unexamined, they can only dream about a feeling of soul freedom, which is often called beingness, higher reasoning, and attaining what is meaningful and lasting. So, you might be wondering, why does this dusty old philosophy matter to us today? After all, we are living in the age of information, and information is commonly referred to as the light. So maybe all these ancient Greek know-it-alls should stay tucked away in history. I disagree, because I think that the human condition of quiet desperation has not improved much over the past 2,400 years, even though technological convenience has raced ahead. So many of us are miserable or under distress or feel that the hand that we've been dealt in life sucks. Or if we're lucky, it's simply a matter of not being as happy as we want to be. According to books 6 and 7, we have two problems to address. First, we are inherently ignorant of ourselves and our soul's yearning for freedom. This is the existential me-searching that is prevented by the chains and puppets. And the second problem that the books address is that we are inherently ignorant of the external negative influence, like the hidden puppet masters, that keep us ignorant from ourselves, from me-searching, and from the yearning of our souls. Socrates identified the external negative influence as politicians and sophists, who were the talking heads of the time. But in modern times, I wonder if this could include a lot of other things, such as various institutions of our civilization, parts of the government, the systems, corporations, media, and any toxic people close to us, and our fearful ego. And also, there are a lot of people that believe demons talk in our heads. If that's true, that might be the worst of them. I call this list of negative influences the Booger Bears. And they all have the same things in common. They are self-serving opportunists that exploit, lie, play tricks, and take. After studying books 6 and 7, it seems that Socrates ultimately blames us, the people, for our Booger Bears. For instance, he says that we are short-sighted, that we are easily manipulated, that we deal in opinions and appearances, and that we are easily pacified by rhetoric, entertainment, and empty promises. And if I'm interpreting these books properly, I think he also suggests that many or most people are in a state of numbness, probably from something like outrage fatigue or just being overwhelmed. So, going back to the two problems that Socrates calls out, ignorance to ourselves and ignorance of our Booger Bears, these two prevent real possibilities for happiness. So, to make this a little bit more clear, it's like we're stumbling around in the dark, guessing at what's in front of us, maybe judging ourselves as fat and ugly, maybe denying our children love, maybe getting further in debt because we think we just have to have something like a $20,000 bedroom set to be happy. Socrates said that the truth is like the sun. And just like the real sun shines light so our eyes can see things like trees and roads outside, truth shines a mental light so our brains can see what is really making life insane and how to fix that by following our soul. He seems to say that people often live in the dark because we have a preconceived image of ourselves in our head, and we want it to stay that way. And I think that's very understandable. It's sort of like how looking at our own blood and guts under a surgeon's light, would be really hard to do. Even though Socrates is putting the responsibility of getting out of the cave in our own hands, I didn't feel judgment or shame coming from him. I personally feel that if we can't do this yet, we should be honest about it, like it's okay. And I even noticed a baby step offered by Socrates to help move his students closer to seeing or me searching. What it was is that he advised his students to try to understand the opposite side of an argument or opinion that they held to basically just simply see what the other person sees under the same sunlight. He said that if they made an effort to bring the opposite point of view into the light of their minds would grow bigger. Then, the positive side effect of that exercise might cause people, us, to not care so much about always having to be right. And from there, we might be more willing to examine ourselves and those nasty booger bears. Well, I hope this video was helpful in giving you a simplified understanding of books 6 and 7 of Plato's Republic. I am not an expert, so if you feel that I have misinterpreted these teachings, or if you just have something to add, please let me know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching.